feel like I'm really blurry and I don't know why. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So today's question of the day is from 100 Acre Daycare, and she asks, your makeup... She asks, what do you do to relax, chill or treat yourself? Do you know what? There's a few different things I do to just relax, especially at the moment. One is like skincare, like going upstairs and just doing like a load of masks, exfoliating, all that kind of stuff. Getting in the bath. I especially love having like a 2-hour long bath. Just keep on topping up with hot water. Doing skincare, doing like hair treatments, watching Netflix in the bath, watching ASMR in the bath. Have been known to do that as well. You know, there's no stopping me once I'm in there. There's just all those kinds of things. I also go as far as like, it's not necessarily relaxing, but I love going to the gym as well. We have like a really good fitness studio here in my home, and yeah, I'll just go in there, 40 minutes of cardio, do some boxing, do some weights, something like that, and it's just a real sort of switch off on my own, just in my own thoughts kind of time for me. So that's kind of the things that I do to de-stress, I guess. So today I'm going to be doing this eyeshadow video. I don't know if someone in particular started this, so apologies if it was someone particular's idea. I've seen my friend Mel do it. I think I've seen Michelle do it. I'm sure Kinky Sweat's done it. Morgan as well, I think, did it. Lots of my friends here on YouTube have done this video where we choose if we could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes. Now, because I have a much smaller eyeshadow collection than a lot of these other channels, because one, eyeshadow is probably the makeup item product region that I'm least, I was gonna say comfortable, but maybe confident, I don't know, with. It's only recently become something that I really enjoy eyeshadow. I used to be like wax and bronzer on the crease and do a full face. That was kind of my vibe. I was always like a neutrals on the eye kind of girl, so you know, I only needed a few eyeshadow palettes and that was all. Like, I didn't want colour, I didn't want anything too much, I was intimidated. But as time's gone on, I've definitely started to love and appreciate eyeshadow and palettes in particular. But yeah, I certainly don't have as many palettes as like Morgan or Alicia or Mel, so for me it's much easier to do this than it would be for someone who has 200 eyeshadow palettes, because I've probably, I don't know, maybe I've got 30 or something like that. So yeah, so I'm going to be doing if I could keep 10, and then narrowing that down to if I could keep 5, because I just like to push myself and test myself, you know. So first up, I have to start with my Pat McGrath palettes. So if I could keep 5 palettes, 2 of them would be Pat McGrath Motherships, because they are my absolute favourite eyeshadow palettes. I adore these palettes from Pat. So first up would be, is it V? I get mixed up with the numbers. Mothership 5. So this was my first Pat McGrath palette. I have such a special place for this in my heart, because it was my first palette from her, first product I think actually from Pat McGrath, and it's just stunningly beautiful. Look at it. I can use every single shade in here, and I do, and they're all gorgeous and glorious and beautiful, and I just can't get enough. It's just so stunning. I particularly have a lot of love in my heart for this like rose gold shade. It's just, it's me. It's just me, and I love it. I also feel like I underrate some of these shades myself. This shade here that has that like green shift to it, that's this one. You know, I forget about these because I'll look at them in the pan and I think, I don't want a gold lid, and I forget these shades are not just, you know, what they appear to be, but I mean, look at them. They're just, I feel like you can just throw any combination in here and it's just the most beautiful eyeshadow you've ever had in your life. Same thing goes for the Divine Rose palette. I cannot wait to get my hands on Divine Rose 2, because it's just, I mean, it looks like this one got like lit on fire or something. It's just, this palette is like my Pat McGrath daytime palette. This is just glorious. This shade here surprises me every time because, you know, again, it looks white, but it's this stunning baby pink lilac type of shift. It's, oh, I love that shade, adore it. This shade here again, oh, it just, you can't go wrong with these shades, and they're just so wet looking. They just shimmer and glow like stars from the sky, like nothing else. I feel like probably if I could only keep two, it would be this one and Mothership 5, because they give me joy. You know, if I Marie Kondo'd my makeup collection, no one's taken these two off me. They're just joy inducing, so beautiful. I feel if you were going to pick up two Pat McGraths, these two will give you day and night, and your life will be complete. So that's number 1 and 2. Number 3, if I was going to keep 5, my Charlotte Tilbury palette. Again, like, you know, if those two are like for days where I'm feeling extra and feeling special and want to do the most, this is the ultimate palette that I have in my collection for doing daytime, soft, beautiful, just, you know, I kind of woke up like this a little bit, but didn't, you know. It's just everything easy. It's gonna go with every cheek, every lip, every whatever you want to do on the rest of your face, every outfit. You know, if you're going to a wedding, if you're just going to a meeting, if you're going to an interview, there's something in here that's going to be soft and beautiful and natural and just very easy. You don't have to think about it. It's very easy. It's perfect for every day. I absolutely love this. And if I was going to keep like one everyday easy soft palette, this would be my favorite. This palette really surprised me. I almost didn't get it. I only got it because I got a lot of money off of it at Space NK in the sale, and I have never regretted a purchase less. Next up, it's got to be the Natasha De Nona Metropolis. This palette blows my mind every time. It doesn't look like a palette that I would love because it's a lot that doesn't look like me, you know. There's not a lot of pink and purple and girly in here, but these shadows really surprise you. I'm constantly finding a new one that I love that I have neglected because they just are so easy. I mean, you look at some of these and they look so intimidating, like these darker browns, but everything just blends so incredibly well that you can really make shades, you know, softer. They blend themselves, so there's nothing to be intimidated about, because they really, if you are like heavy-handed, like I always, you know, I'm telling you, I'm heavy-handed, I'm not very skilled with eyeshadow as far as blending and placement and things like that. I have hooded eyes, I've got a lot of problems, you know. It's not an easy time in the eyeshadow world for me. But this palette, like, you can't go wrong, and it does everything you want it to do. If I feel like greens, I'm going in here. If I feel like blues, I'm going in here. I can use this for like the softest everyday eye as well. And there's not many palettes that are this versatile and this easy to work with. It looks a little intimidating, I think on first glimpse if you are a beginner, but it's really, you've just got to get in there and play, because honestly you can't really go wrong. They work for themselves. They work with you, for you. It sells itself, this palette. It's just glorious. It's the perfect size. I don't understand why it's not permanent. Like, what is that? And last but not least at all, if I was going to pick 5, we've got the 2 Pat McGrath, a Charlotte Tilbury and a Natasha De Nona. And last but not least, the very dear to my heart Norvina palette from ABH. Probably the first like love of my life when it came to eyeshadow palettes. I'd had other eyeshadow palettes before this one, but this was like the one. This is the ABH palette for me, because you can take one look at it and know I love it. It's just soft glam in a palette. I love every shimmer shade in here, the perfect ratio. Again, like a lot of these other palettes that are like my type of palettes, it can do it all. It can do one shade look. It can do a full-on going out for an evening, date night, wedding, anything. Like this pink, I absolutely love this pink, you know, and I love that all of the mattes go with the shimmers as well. It's just very, very easy. I feel like this gives me something that I don't have in the other 4 in this top 5. So yeah, this one, just for glam, in the shades that I love, would be my 5th if I could keep 5. So now if I could keep 10, I get to choose 5 more. Whoever this person is who's like holding me to ransom and telling me I can only keep 5 or 10 eyeshadow palettes, they're feeling generous today and they're giving me an extra 5. So we've got Mothership 5, we've got Divine Rose, we've got Metropolis, we've got Norvina, and we've got the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette. And I get to choose 5 more. How generous, Mr. Makeup Kidnapper. I don't know, does anyone else make these weird scenarios up in their head? No, just me? Okay. So if I got to keep 10, I would of course save my 3rd Mothership palette. This is my most recent, so maybe that's why I'm less attached to it. I've only just started to play with this a couple of times because it was a recent purchase and I'm not wearing makeup like every day at the moment. But this particularly, these 2 shades in here are sickening. This one, oh, I just put, no I didn't. I thought I put the same. I don't know what's happening. What is happening? I mean, for Christ's sake, for crying out loud. I wore, I think, this shade in one of my videos, and it's one of these palettes. I just like the sort of, you know, people will ask you, what are you wearing on your eyes? What is that eyeshadow? Because it's just like nothing on earth. Every move you make, it's a different colour. It's like, it's pink. What? It's blue now. What? It's purple. Who? What kind of shape-shifting magic is going on here? I can't even tell you. This palette is very, what's the word? Covertly flexible. No, what? We can do better than that. Covertly versatile. That's what it is. Yes, because actually these all look quite intimidating, but these 2 shades are very soft and can be used like mattes, because these aren't necessarily, these are not the same level as her like special shades. These are definitely more of like a satin or a soft shimmer, so you can use these in the crease. So you've got more crease shades than you might think, and this shade here that looks super dark is very easy to use lightly and blend out, so not as intimidating as, again, as it looks in the pan. Again, this shade here, where's my white? This shade here can be really built up, so again gives you more options. It looks super light. Where am I going? It looks super light, but when you build it up, you can really get a lot of shade from that and a lot of depth from it. So I think this whole palette is more versatile than it may appear. This gold is like the dream gold. Look at that. I die. So this is number 6. If I get 10, I'm having all my Motherships. Just put it, I'm having them all. You can't stop me. So number 7 is gonna be my Natasha De Nona Love Palette. This is like a bit like Norvina on heat. It's brighter, it's punchier, it's more colourful, it's more probably daytime to Norvina's nighttime. I just think this is glorious, and I don't have anything like it in my collection. Again, everything in here is kind of surprising. Like, they look maybe more intimidating than they are, but everything is just so easy to blend, you know, typical Natasha De Nona. This blind shade, oh, again, I have nothing like that. It's just glorious. And again, lots of these shades, like Commitment, I feel like looks really intimidating. Dream down here looks really intimidating, but they can both be used really softly and really beautifully blended out, so that you're not like ending up with as bright or as intimidating of colours that you might think that they look, you know, on first glance at this palette. I think this is, you know, a beautiful, glorious palette that for summer, for spring, it's just so pretty. And you know me, I don't love colour, but I love this palette. Next up, I want a couple of smaller palettes, because if I can only keep 10, I need to think about travel if I go on holiday ever again. If I ever get to, you know, go on a trip somewhere ever again. I want some little minis that do a lot for their size. So this is the Viseart Paris Edit. This palette is just small but mighty, because it's so versatile for such a little mini. It's got so many mattes and beautiful options for the lid that, you know, if you're going somewhere and you want to pop something small in a little makeup bag, you can't go wrong, because it's giving you a lot in a very teeny tiny, beautiful, pretty package. Again, you've got looks for every day in here, but, you know, a quarter of the size of any of these other palettes. So, you know, living for the space-saving opportunities. My newest love, the Natasha De Nona Mini Glam. This is the eyeshadow I'm wearing today. I just love that you can whack every shade in here on your lid. This is number 9, by the way, number 9 Mini Glam. It's so easy. Like, you don't have to think, because you just use every shade and that's your eye look for the day. I used every shade in here. Started off with this one as a kind of base, you know, deepened it up with the other matte, then this shade here, which really I thought I wouldn't like and won't really use, because it looks, I don't know, a little bit like grey and murky maybe, but on the lid, this one really surprised me. It's beautiful, like almost like a khaki shade, and then obviously these two shimmers are just the pretty, you can't go wrong. There's a more bronzy and then a more sort of oh, that's the same one again, sorry, a more sort of champagne-y shade, and like this is, you know, for every single day of your life, a quick, easy, you know, you don't have to think about combinations, you just whack them all on in various different locations of the eyeball and you're good to go, you know. I feel like if you were wanting to try Natasha De Nona's formula, but you don't know where to start, this is the one to start with, because you can't go wrong. You won't not love it. You won't, unless you don't. Okay. And last but not least, if I'm keeping 10, is the world's most underrated eyeshadow palette, and this is the Carli Bybel ABH collab palette. I feel like this is just so underrated. It's got so many options that you're never going to get the same look twice, unless you want to, obviously, then you probably can achieve that. But you've just got, I mean, every time I talk about this palette, I talk about the fact that these two are essentially the exact same shade and I don't understand it. But other than that, it's, you know, it's not a palette of all the same shade. It's a palette of what's happening, there's no space left, but there's so many options. There's pinks, there's greys, there's purples, there's cool, there's more neutral, there's warmer shades, there's spring shades. It can work for every occasion. I'm not a huge fan of the packaging. It's like a little, I don't know if it seems a little childish to me, I don't know, but the inside is very underrated. This red, I thought I would never use this, but it's a lot softer and richer and deeper than it looks. It's not super bright red. It's the perfect, like, deepening the crease shade to use along with Cindy. Again, love all the shimmers in here. You can't go wrong. It's absolutely beautiful and really horrifyingly underrated, but what can you do? So there you have it. Those are my 5 eyeshadow palettes that I would keep if I could only keep 5, and the 5 I would add if I could only keep 10. Yeah, it was actually pretty easy. I found it pretty easy. These are definitely the 10 from my collection that are like the most used, the most loved, the most appreciated, that have stood the test of time. Most of them, some of them are new, you know, we'll see how you go. I'd love to know what your favourites are out of these, which you would keep. If you've gone through this in your mind, please share. I love to know. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.